Hey guys, Dr. Watt from Pinecrest Chiropractic. Now I'm sure seeing a skull and a Minnie Mouse in front of me is not what you expected to see for a pediatric video, but these are going to be perfect examples to show you what happens with something called torticollis. Now torticollis is oftentimes talked about with babies and newborns. It can be a scary thing, right? Torticollis is a hypertonic muscle. Hyper means too much. Tone is how tight something is. Now we can see babies being hypertonic or having too much tone in many different areas, but one specific type of that is called torticollis. And so torticollis is usually going to present where the baby's going to have their head turned to one side and usually leaning towards the opposite side. So if that baby's head is turned to the left, lean to the right, or vice versa, turn to the right, lean to the left. Now that can be caused by a couple of different things, but you would see symptoms like baby being stuck in that position oftentimes, or even baby only liking to nurse on one side versus the other. That baby oftentimes can get described as stargazing or looking up into the side like they're trying to look up at the stars. Now the reason that's going to turn is because we've got this muscle called our sternocleidomastoid, right? And so it starts from our mastoid up here, which is this part back here on our skull, and runs all the way down through the side of your neck onto the front of your sternum right here. When that muscle shortens, it's going to turn us. On top of that, can also lean us to the side. And so that baby's essentially got a muscle spasm that won't let go in that muscle. The other muscle groups that oftentimes are associated with that are going to be what's called our scalenes. These sit on the side of our neck. And so these have different insertion points. There's a couple of different ones on the side of the neck, but it's going to cause that baby to be leaned to the side. And so you can also see that with babies just leaning to the side without the rotation. Now torticollis can progress to have issues later on in life, whether it is just decreases or changes in their range of motion. It can affect the cervical curve or the lordosis that's supposed to be in your neck as you age. And that's becoming more and more common to see a decreased lordosis, especially with how much time so many of us spend on our phones, on texting, on our computers, all of those different types of things. But in babies specifically, it's going to pop up with them being stuck in that position, struggling to move towards the other side. You can see it when they're on their tummy time, only looking to their left or their right and refusing to essentially go to the other side. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can treat this. A few at-home things to do is start encouraging your baby to look towards that side that they're struggling to look towards. So during tummy time, take all of the toys, all of the mirrors, all of the sound things, and put them over on that other side. Force baby to go look at those things to get those things done. The other thing is the thing that mom and dad, you can do. When you guys holding baby, if you find yourself constantly holding on one side, I want you to focus on switching that. Because that's going to force them, instead of, if you're used to carrying baby in your left hand so that you have your right arm free, which is what most of our mamas do, that baby's gonna be stuck looking this way all of the time to see what's going on. They wanna be involved. So if you do something simple, like switch sides, that baby's gonna then be forced to look the other direction. So mom and dad switching sides on how we're holding the baby, forcing that tummy time to be a little bit different. Then the other big thing that we can start doing is doing things like chiropractic, as we deal a lot with muscle tone and tissue tone through treatment. We see babies come in, and that's gonna be a big part of our exam on day one, is just checking their tone and then finding out how long it's been there. Oftentimes with torticollis babies, we'll see mom report, my baby could hold their head up from the moment they left the hospital. That's not a good thing. It feels like our kid's advanced and moving forward, and that's a really cool thing to chase after, and we want your kid to be advanced. But the downside of it and the reality of it is that means that those muscles in their neck are so tight they can't even let go. And there's a couple of different ways that we'll work on finding that during an exam, or if you watch some of our other videos, we go through a pediatric exam and point some of those out. But torticollis can be a really big deal and impact many different areas of that kid's life. And it's one of those things that doesn't usually naturally go away all on its own. You guys have to put some work in at home to make some changes and or take the next step up and come in and see a chiropractor. So if you want to know more about torticollis, or if this is something that your baby seems to be struggling with, come on in, let's chat about it.